My guy is Garrett Wilson. And this is another one of my all-in players. Now, last year, my bold take is he finishes inside the top 5 wide receivers. That obviously blows up in my face because of Aaron Rodgers. But I'm going to go right back in. And I believe Garrett Wilson finishes the overall wide receiver 1. I think that's well within his range of outcomes. Now, let's start with the ancillary reasons is that we got Aaron Rodgers coming back. I think Aaron Rodgers has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and they upgraded the offensive line with 3 new veteran starters, one of which future Hall of Famer Tyron Smith. We know he can miss some time himself, but again, 3 new starters on this offensive line. I think that makes a difference when it comes to pass protection. And also, if Aaron Rodgers did go down, knock on wood, Tyrod Taylor's a QB2. I know Tyrod Taylor's not a world beater, but he is a vast upgrade of any other quarterback on this Jets roster who's played with Garrett Wilson in his career. Like Tyrod Taylor is an upgrade over Tim Boyle, obviously, Zach Wilson, and those, Mike White, you name it. So I think there's a little bit more protection in your Garrett Wilson investment. Now, Garrett Wilson last year saw a lot of targets, right? Over 160 targets. One of the biggest reasons why he did not break the top 30 in fantasy wide receivers, they were not efficient targets, right? They were not quality targets. So Jets last year, they averaged 171 passing yards per game, 30th in the NFL, but they were 11th in pass attempts. That is atrocious. Quarterbacks that started last year, Wilson, Simeon, Boyle, more atrociousness. Now let's get
trash
into
on top of
Wilson.
Trash.
Let's get into Garrett Wilson. The largest air yards share in the NFL, 45.63%, but only recorded 1,042 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. His target volume, 4th most targets in the NFL, 168. This is a Nathaniel Hackett offense that likes to feature one receiver. If we remember those Devontae Adams seasons, but only 103 of those 168 were graded as catchable targets. The Jets were 30th completion or adjusted completion rate and 27th in catchable target rate last year. Now, red zone usage, which is big for this, Wilson had 17 red zone targets, 12th most at his position, only 3 touchdowns. We blame that on the quarterbacks. Now, let's go to the betting markets, right? Because the betting markets view Garrett Wilson with positive regression. They see Garrett Wilson having a career year. His receiving yards line, depending on the sports book, is set at 1,125.5, over 7.5 touchdowns. So those are his receiving total yards and touchdown line. So Vegas is even backing a career year out of Garrett Wilson. Listen, between the quarterback upgrade, whether it's Rodgers or Tyrod, the O-line upgrades, and we know that Garrett Wilson is talented, and we go back to those old Aaron Rodgers, Nat Hackett years in Green Bay. Devontae Adams, you can make the case, was the best fantasy receiver in football year in and year out. I think that is the ceiling for Garrett Wilson. And in the back of the first round, it is well within his range of outcomes to finish as the overall wide receiver 1.